Bitcoin hits a new all-time high, and we have a billionaire saying he doesn't own much Bitcoin, but is worth paying attention to. Let's dive in. Diving right into it here. So we're looking at this article that came out from Ray Dalio. He is saying that he doesn't own much Bitcoin, but he thinks Bitcoin is worth paying attention to. Here's why. Let's dive in. So this is one of those scenarios, guys, where I'm telling you to pay attention to what they're doing, not necessarily what they're saying. He's saying he doesn't own much, right? That could easily be 1,000 Bitcoin or you know, 5. It could be a ton. Right. It could be a handful for most people. This guy's a billionaire. OK, saying he doesn't own much. But let's see what he's saying. So Ray Dalio, he's founded Bridgewater Associates. He recently stepped down. I think it was this year. He says, I can't say exactly how effective Bitcoin is as money, but it's being perceived by many as an alternative money. And so it's worth paying attention to. Money needs to be both medium of exchange and storehold of wealth. And the latter is more important. That's what he's saying. So in July, Dalio argued that the neutral investment portfolio should contain either gold or Bitcoin as a hedge against the devaluation of the US dollar. Here he says, my own approach is in my share of my portfolio, I have gold and I have some Bitcoin, but not much. He says, I'm not going to describe my own exactly, but I'll say the following. If you were neutral on everything, in other words, you didn't have a point of view and you were optimizing your portfolio for the best return to risk ratio, you would have about 15% of your money in gold or Bitcoin. And he said, I'm strongly preferring gold to Bitcoin, but that's up to you. So this is what he's saying. You already know what's going to happen. A year later, I was at maybe 2 max, but I would say in 2026, he's going to come out and say, yes, I've always held back. I have a ton of Bitcoin, you know, of course. And he's going to start talking about altcoin. That's going to happen. It happens every time. We've seen it with Mark Cuban as well, right? It said Mark Cuban went way left field with saying, you know, he'd rather have bananas than Bitcoin. Then now he's big on Bitcoin and Ethereum and crypto, right? This is what we're going to see with Ray Dalio as well. Watch what they're doing. Don't worry about what they're saying. He has crypto. He has a bag. All right. So we know that. And we've seen what happens when they come out, you know, pretty much tiptoeing around saying, yeah, I own a little bit and, you know, a little bit of exposure, but, you know, pay attention to gold, smoke and mirrors. Yeah. Look at gold. Look at gold. Right. And don't pay attention to Bitcoin. Meanwhile, they accumulate Bitcoin. Do not fall for this. You know, we've seen it time and time again. Unfortunately, watch what they're doing. Do not worry about what they're saying. That's all I have to say about that one, because we've seen this time and time again. And this so happens to be right around when Bitcoin hits a new all-time high. So next up from our channel partners at iTrust Capital, one question that you should try to answer is, what if iTrust Capital told you there's a smarter way to take control of your retirement investment crypto without the usual tax headaches? That is a big value add. So with the self-directed IRA from iTrust Capital, they're saying you can do exactly that. Not only you can open a brand new account and contribute each year up to the annual limit, but you can also roll over funds from your existing 401k, Roth IRA, or traditional IRA completely tax free. So once it's all set up, you can move into cash, buy Bitcoin or other crypto assets. And when it's time to sell, no capital gains tax. This is a big game changer. Check out iTrust Capital. Links will be in the description. And to be honest with you, they're just adding so much more value in comparison to the alternative. We look at other people that are trying to solve the same problem, but they're unable to do so at the same level as iTrust Capital. iTrust Capital has deemed to be far superior and make it easy for people like my mom who wants some exposure, but don't want to have to deal with the self-custody, don't have to deal with buying a Trezor or a Ledger. They just want to get some exposure, and they're able to use their 401ks to do so. iTrust Capital makes it extremely easy with 24/7 Buy and sell crypto 24/7. US-based company, 5-star live client service, closed loop system, and low fees. Check out I Trust Capital. Links will be in the description. So next up, back to the charts. We see Bitcoin broke out, right? But one thing that we're not seeing yet is the breakouts from altcoins. That's what everyone's waiting for, right? We look at Cardano. Cardano's right on our line. You guys are looking for spot on TA. It doesn't get any more efficient than this. It just doesn't. Respect, complete respect to our counter trend line right there. Waiting for a breakout. That's what everyone's waiting for, right? It gets to about 90, 95 cents. That's a full breakout to potentially head upwards. XRP, it's right on the line. It's right there. Not a full break yet, but it's right there. It's on there. So that's what we're seeing. We even look at H bar. H bar is making its way up, struggling a little bit. And maybe if we would add a stochastic there, we add a stochastic to see what exactly is going on. Even stochastic is showing that divergence earlier. So we're paying attention to H bar as well. I think H bar is going to be a sleeper that's not being talked about enough, but I think H bar is going to perform beautifully. So that's what we see right now. Waiting on a breakout on the alts. Bitcoin's doing its thing. Makes a new high, new all-time high. Never been there before. Look to the left. You don't see any resistance or anything like that. According to this chart, hit about 125.5, just around there, and pulled right back. So this is the first breakout, and we're looking for these breakout across the other alts. If we go to crypto bubbles for the month so far, it's a hit or miss for the month so far, right? But we've seen some crazy gains last week to start October. That's what we saw. So going to the day, we see here mostly green, some red, but mostly green. So very excited to see where we're going to be at for the month, because overall for the month we are green. So even looking at the year, mostly green as well. Actually, it's almost about 60-40 for the year. There's a lot of alts that are struggling. So very excited for October, because we look at Bitcoin's doing its thing, and I think altcoins are going to follow. This is setting up to be almost the equivalent to 2017. If you guys don't know about 2017, you heard our story. Was when I first heard about XRP. Is back when it was just called Ripple. The token was called Ripple. It was 2 cents, and I said, nah, I'm not gonna touch that. I was making, bad money. I was making illegal money, and I didn't really, and I was day trading, and was doing pretty well. Just wasn't sustainable. Wasn't a firm foundation, and I heard about Ripple when it was 2 cents, and I said no. And then probably around January, somewhere like January, December, it shot up to like $3, right? 2 cents to $3. Crazy, right? And if I would have put like 2,000 in, I would have made ridiculous money. Probably about 300,000, right? $2,000, $300,000 just off of just being open-minded. And even if you cut that in half, like 1,000 to 150K, right? Just for having an open mind, right? So that's my story about Ripple or XRP. And it seems like we're in that same time period where a lot of people are on the fence. A lot of people are waiting, trying to time the market. And it seems like we're in the same Q4 going into Q1, right? Just waiting, anticipating. That's what we're seeing. And I definitely think that we are heading for a super cycle based off of what we have seen previously. A lot of you guys ask us how we got into crypto. A lot of you guys ask us why we're in crypto, guys. I think because you don't necessarily, there's no pre-qualifier to get in. You just need an open mind, right? And some funds. That's all you need, right? You can invest. I know people that do $2 a day. I know people that do $5 a day. I know people that sacrificed, going to Starbucks. They no longer go to Starbucks and use that money to buy crypto, right? So that's why we're in crypto, right? The opportunity and the reward that comes with crypto in comparison to anything else, right? Crypto doesn't care what you've done in the past. It doesn't care what degree you have. It does not care your ethnicity or if you're male or female. Crypto doesn't care, right? You have an opportunity to ride the wave with the banks that you typically would not have. And that is where the value is, and that's the opportunity, right? That's the opportunity in front of you, and that's why we're in crypto. Crypto has changed our lives, and we think it can change the lives of many people as long as they stay disciplined, as long as they take a look at crypto fear greed, right? They take a look at crypto fear greed and they see, okay, it's green, and I should maybe stop the big accumulations, right? I should really accumulate heavily when it's yellow, orange, or red, right? It requires us to think differently. And that's something that we've learned. And, for the past couple of weeks prior to the end of Q3, that was the opportunity to accumulate. When people were uncertain, when there was blood on the streets, right? That was the opportunity. So you can enjoy this run now, right? So a little bit about us, right? Sharing, a lot of you guys know, a lot of you guys been watching for a while. You guys know our story, but definitely wanted to share that because, we've been getting that question a lot. Why, how do I get into crypto? How did you guys get into crypto? We got into crypto out of necessity, right? We didn't get into crypto because we, were just super smart, right? We didn't get it. We went through being unbanked, right? We went through, not being able to get jobs, right? Our teams are a bunch of rejects on our team, to be honest, what the world would call rejects, right? We use that as an opportunity where we saw that this tech does not care about any of that, but it gives opportunity. And if you have the right mindset and you do the right homework and the research, you can change your life. So wanted to highlight that, guys. Pay attention to these markets. We'll be updating you as well. Really paying attention, not necessarily to Bitcoin anymore, but want to see if these altcoins break out. We're going to be heading that up and giving you guys updates on that. Hope you guys got some value out of this video. Keep moving forward in everything that you do. We'll see you soon.